can see, it's difficult for me to get this camera tilted back enough. Wait a minute, let's see. Is there an apple? Give me, no, not an apple. Yeah, that might do it. This is high tech, using a mandarin to get. And have a guess what? It's working. Cool. Okay, I'll leave my camera on and shift over a little bit. Jaya Nilo Prema Dana Karuna Pracho Jaya Nilo Prema Dana Karuna Pracho Eno Prabhu Kota Gela Chayatako Eno Prabhu Kota Gela Chayatako Gela Chayatako Kahamora Swarupa Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kahamora Swarupa Rupa Kaha Sanatan Dasaragunata Patita Pavam Dasaragunata Patita Pava Kahamora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kavira Kahamora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kavira Eka Kale Kota Gela Gora Natara Eka Kale Kota Gela Gora Natara
Tara Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pasibo Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pasibo Ashale Patibo Goranga Konerenidi Kotagele Pabo Nede Kotagele Pabo Goranga Kunera Nede Kotagele Pabo Se Saba Sangera Sange Jai Koi Lo Bila La Se Saba Sangera Sange Jai Koi Lo Bera Bera Se Sangana Paya Kande Naratamoda Tamada Se Sangana Paya Kande Naratamoda Tamada Jayanilo Premadana Karuna Prachu Premadana Karuna Prachu Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Asto Tarasatasi Śrīmad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Asto Taratatashi Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Sri Mayapur Navadvitam ki Sri Purushottam Chatra ki Sri Ganga Maya ki Jai Sri Jamuna Maya ki Jai Bhakti Devi ki Jai Tulsi Devi Maharani ki Jai Hari Nam Sankirtana ki Jai Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Disappearance ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Oh, glories to ISKCON Founder-Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy. Maybe, who's that? So everybody can put their mics on mute on Teams, please. We're getting a bit of crackling and popping. Sri Chaitanya, maybe you can just monitor those, everybody, and make sure they're on mute until we call them to speak, please. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Advaita Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the saviour of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta, and where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to attain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kada Mahiyam Dadati Svapadantikam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Rangayate Garim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurun Dinatarinam. So, we are celebrating the disappearance day of our Founder-Acharya, His Divine Grace, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Asto Tarasadashi Śrīmad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. So, the appearance day and the disappearance day of the spiritual master are important occasions where the disciple should remember the spiritual master and ponder, meditate on, consider their good fortune or our good fortune, and all of the benefits and the the good fortune that we've had in being brought by Krishna's mercy and by the transcendental arrangement of the Lord into the association of the spiritual master. So I've been meditating on our relationship with Srila Prabhupada as an individually, but also as a community of devotees, and thinking of contemplating, considering, meditating on my and our the debt that we owe Srila Prabhupada, which is, unpayable. We will always be indebted to the devotees who have brought us to Krishna, and of course in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, because Srila Prabhupada is everybody's guru, and he's also the Founder-Acharya. He has a special place in all of our hearts, because of all of the people apart from perhaps, I was just thinking this morning, of all of the people apart from perhaps my mother and father, Srila Prabhupada has had the greatest impact on my life, has completely changed my life, and given me actually given me an opportunity to fulfill all of my desires. Something that I've discovered over the years. Actually, discovered very early on in as a devotee, that if one surrenders to Srila Prabhupada, then he'll fulfill all of our desires, and more than we could imagine. More than we could imagine. I was reading in the Bhagavatam yesterday in the pastime of Bhishmadev leaving his body, and Bhishmadev's giving instructions to Maharaj Yudhisthira, 9 instructions, and one of the instructions he gives is that if you want to avoid distress, then don't make any plans. And I was thinking, hang on a second, that doesn't sound right, because, I was thinking that doesn't sound right, because who can stop making plans? And even in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says that a yogi is one who can control his senses according to his plans. Right, so, and even Prabhupada talks about the mission of life, and that everybody should have a plan to execute the mission of life. So I was just thinking about this point. What does it mean? What does Bhishmadev mean about avoiding distress by not having any plans? And then I kind of figured out that what it means is, or this is my interpretation, my speculation, right? We're encouraged not to speculate, but Prabhupada also encourages to speculate based on our philosophy. In other words, we can deduce or, logically arrive at conclusions based on the Shastra and, instructions that we get from the previous Acharyas and the current Acharyas. So what I figured it meant was we shouldn't be making plans for ourselves. We shouldn't be making plans for our own sense gratification, but rather our plans are those plans which are fulfilling the order of the spiritual master, fulfilling the wishes of the devotees, and fulfilling the wishes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because obviously, Prabhupada obviously had plans, right? But, and it's interesting in that chapter, Prabhupada explains, and if you think about, Bhishmadev is about to leave his body by his choice, right, interestingly, by his choice, yet on a bed of arrows. On a bed of arrows. And he'd been defeated. He'd been defeated. Yet, even though he'd been defeated, he accepted that totally as Krishna's mercy. And Prabhupada explains how Bhishma Dev was made an example that even though he was such a powerful devotee and a powerful Kshatriya, unbeatable, effectively unbeatable by anybody, yet because he was on the wrong side, he couldn't win. Right? And he accepted that as a faithful servant of the Lord. He accepted that as the Lord's desire. Very interesting. He wasn't distressed by the fact that he'd been defeated. He was actually, Hare Krishna, Haribo. Welcome, Prabhuji. But we're remembering Srila Prabhupada here, Sanganath, please. So, whilst we don't make plans, personal plans, we make plans for serving Krishna and serving the devotees and serving the spiritual master. So it's important for us to, on this day, if we want to be free from distress, then we should meditate on Srila Prabhupada, our relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and consider how much Prabhupada sacrificed for starters. We were. There's a very interesting new book that I encourage everybody to get a copy of and read. It's called The Endangered Species. The Endangered Species. Huh? And it's referring to ISKCON ashramites. We're getting a jai here from the devotees in the temple. And in the introduction, or in the beginning of the book, it's written by Kalakanta and Jita Mitra, and there are a couple of devotees. Kalakanta, I worked with him extensively in the 90s because he was the GBC secretary, and I was at that time the chairman of the GBC deputies and the secretary as well. And so I know Kalakanta, and he when he resigned from that service, he went back to, he was always in Gainesville, but he took over the Krishna House ashram and has made a lot of devotees. But he makes a point that the young devotees that Srila Prabhupada attracted to Krishna consciousness in 1965 and 1966, and even later, I suppose, could hardly understand and appreciate the amount of sacrifice that Srila Prabhupada had to endure in order to arrive in New York and preach. You know, the efforts and endeavour that Srila Prabhupada had to exert to arrive in is probably easier for us in we have the Leela Amrita, we have Miracle on 26 2nd Avenue, we have so many memories of Srila Prabhupada. What is it? The Great Transcendental Adventure, written by Korma. So we have so much more of an appreciation now of the sacrifices that Srila Prabhupada underwent to save us. The compassion, the heart that Srila Prabhupada had, and the efforts that illustrate what compassion he had for us is awe-inspiring and underlines, the debt that we owe to Srila Prabhupada. And anyway, I encourage you to get it. I'll share the link. It's a PDF, and it talks about how we need to make sure that in every community there is a well catered for facility for young men and young women to join ISKCON and become dedicated ISKCON ashramites. Because very often he makes the comment that those devotees go on then to provide significant contributions to ISKCON. Not all of them, but many of those devotees will be future leaders of ISKCON, right? Which is so important. There are a greater proportion or a greater percentage of the leaders of ISKCON come out of that ISKCON ashram environment than we get out of our householder community. Of course, the householders have a great deal to contribute as well, of course. But it's rare to get a leader and somebody who's prepared to renounce and sacrifice and give up their lives for preaching. They do exist from the householder community. And very often, especially in their retired or later years, there are devotees who can give up everything just to serve within the society. But very often that dedication comes from those who have the ashram training and have the ashram commitment. So very interesting, good book. We should read it and take advantage of it. We still have ashrams. There are many places around the world that don't, when you think about it. And of course, that was Prabhupada's genius. Prabhupada says that, there's a duty of an Acharya. And we see that. He did it. Prabhupada did it. It's the duty of an Acharya to adjust according to time, place and circumstances. This is one of the features, the unique features of Srila Prabhupada, that he understood. And even he says, things that may be applicable in one place may not be applicable in another. Just like, in India we have certain norms and standards that are expected of temples. But Srila Prabhupada didn't try to apply many of those norms and standards in the Western setting that he was preaching in, because he could see that it wasn't going to work. Right? But Prabhupada had a very interesting approach. He approached it from, let's make it easy for people, get them to chant Hare Krishna, follow the regulated principles, but he didn't pile them up with a heap of rules and regulations first off. Right? He got them to chant and do service effectively. And later on, he encouraged them with Harinam. He encouraged them with book distribution. He encouraged them with festivals. Right? He also encouraged them to get married. Right? Many things that Srila Prabhupada... as a sannyasi, he said himself, a sannyasi, I shouldn't be involved in these things, right? Because there's a whole cultural setting in the Indian context where usually it's not a problem. The guru doesn't get involved with arranging marriages. That's all part of the social construct or the social context, right? Your parents would be worrying about who you're going to get married to. They've already got 3 people in line or in mind, right? And probably for about a decade before you get married. Right? But that wasn't the social setting in New York 1965, 1966. Yet Prabhupada introduced it as a sannyasi. So we owe so much to Srila Prabhupada individually for having saved us, for having, arranged the circumstances so that we could become liberated personalities, right? And that's available for all of us, regardless of what social setting you come from, what ashram you happen to be in, how much money you earn. Each one of us have been given this opportunity to perfect our lives, and by embracing the sadhana process of Krishna consciousness. And when we do that, we feel great. We have a sense of relief, a sense of achievement, a sense of self-satisfaction, and a sense of happiness. Happiness that you just don't get anywhere, effectively speaking. The sense of satisfaction that we get from chanting Hare Krishna and from trying to serve Srila Prabhupada, it just knows no bounds. Was it? Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnam amritas vardhanam. Right? Savatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna sankirtanam. So there's that personal commitment that we want to rekindle, we want to revive, we want to be fully established in. And so, on a day like today, on Prabhupada's disappearance, we can meditate on it every day, but on these special occasions, we can deeply dive into this meditation. And then there's the meditation of what we should be doing as a community of preachers. Effectively, when we join the Hare Krishna movement, we become gurus, right? Eventually we'll become gurus because we're told, give this knowledge to others, right? This is, and what's the last statement of the Bhagavad Gita? Right? There's no one more dear to me than he who gives this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to the devotees. And that meant, and that's why Srila Prabhupada underwent all of those austerities. And a huge leap into the unknown, getting onto that boat in Calcutta, was it? And picking up his books in Cochin, and then, travelling an arduous journey, suffering so much, and then arriving in America, not knowing, and Prabhupada said when he walked off the boat, he didn't know whether he was supposed to go left, right, or straight ahead. Have you ever had that experience, your first time international travel? Probably for you gentlemen, coming to Australia, right? And you come out, just getting to Singapore is an achievement, right? And then you come out of the plane and you've got to go and find the next plane where you're going to go, right? It's like, what's going on here? Where am I? Whoa. Ooh, I'll have to fix that up later. Wait a minute. I thought I turned that down, but obviously didn't. Anyway, individually and collectively, we have an obligation, we have a debt to pay to Srila Prabhupada, and that debt is that we should be an exemplary preaching community. And that will mean sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice. And Srila Prabhupada set the example. Right? He set the example. Yagyai Sankirtan Prayer, right? The Sankirtan Yagya is our sacrifice. That's our austerity. We don't have to sleep on the floor or, torture ourselves with penances and austerity. Don't eat sweets in Kartik, right? That might help you lose weight. But it's debatable whether it will actually help you make spiritual advancement. And I'm not discouraging anybody from not eating sweets. But why is it Diwali's in Kartik? And I'm not going to not eat sweets. But more preaching. You know, if we want to make spiritual advancement, and I've mentioned this before, I'm convinced if you want to make rapid advancement and substantial spiritual advancement, then it means, chant your rounds, obviously, and cooperate. And that's probably the hardest thing. For a preaching community, the hardest thing is to cooperate. I was talking to one of the devotees the other day, a couple of days ago, and I was saying, if you get the bright idea that it's a good idea to go to the Shiva Vishnu temple on the Ekadasi that falls in December, which is called Gita Jayanti, to go and distribute books, well, you should take into mind there's probably 3 or 4 dozen others of you who've got the same idea. Right? And then what happens? You all go to the Shiva Vishnu temple and start harassing all of the devotees that go there. And then the temple president of that temple rings up Bhakta and says, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? How come there's 40 of you here selling the Bhagavad Gita today? Right? And so, you know, working together as a preaching community means planning, strategizing. It means sometimes sacrificing what you want to do. Oh, I want to go down to the Shiva Vishnu temple because I know I'll clean up, right? But if we're all there on the same day, we're not going to clean up, we're just going to agitate people, right? So being a preaching community means being sensitive, as Srila Prabhupada was. Prabhupada said it took him 6 months to work out what was going on in America, right? What the people were like, what the facility was like, what, you know, the do's and the don'ts. And so we, as a community of devotees following in Srila Prabhupada's footsteps, need to be sensitive to the environment that we're preaching in. We need to be sensitive to the needs of all of ourselves, plus the needs, interests and concerns of the people that we know are devotees, but there's some time between what they are now and what they're going to be in the future, right? And so we owe, this is one meditation I've had. This is what we as a community of devotees owe Srila Prabhupada, right? It'll be and it'll be beneficial for us, and it'll be beneficial for the rest of the people of the society within which we're living. And we can't live, you know, in isolation. You know, in the early days, we used to think, you know, it's us, the pure devotees, right? And them, the kami demons. Right? And we didn't care too much about the kami demons until, you know, they stopped our book distribution, they harassed us on Harinam. You know, they gave us such a hard time that we realised, ooh, hang on a second, we've got to take these others into consideration. And of course, that's what a devotee does. A devotee is not of course, into self-realisation, but part of self-realisation means also being very considerate of others. Right? So, on this day, at least, this is some of the meditation that I've been thinking of and would like to share on this day. Okay. We have got Rasa. Would you like to speak next?
Yes, please.
Do I need to mic this or can you hear it?
I don't know how the audible is for the things.
Oh, okay, rightio. For our YouTube, how many people on YouTube do we know? Anybody looking at us on YouTube? Many. Okay, so let's go. This actually got good speaker. You can hear it. Okay, Rasa.
Is there a time? Do I need to be brief, or what should I do?
No, you're right.
All right. Let me try for the first time. This year has been so unusual. Normally, I try and write something. Please bless me to speak something. something sensible for the purification and the glorification of Srila Prabhupada. So the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm sorry, it's just a little bit confusing. I can hear the feedback through the temple system, but I'll just keep going.
Well, can somebody go outside and just check the YouTube feed and see if there's not any feedback coming through, because we can't hear anything here.
Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind when we're honouring Srila Prabhupada's Disappearance Day is the actual day that happened in 1977. Many of us were in the bus going up to New Govardhan to celebrate. I guess we were going to celebrate Govardhan Puja. And Balaram he was obviously in touch with India, and he got off the bus at one stage to go back to Melbourne.
Perhaps you could explain who Balaram is, because
Balaram was the 10th president in 1976. So now there's just kind of a rushing sound and a clicking sound.
Yes, hang on. I'll get onto the. Yeah, you're right.
I guess this will affect anyone else who speaks to.
Sri Chaitanya's keeping an eye on who's mute and who's not. So keep going.
All right, so we're on a bus. We were on a bus going up to New Govardhan. The temple president at that time got off early and returned back to Melbourne. When we returned back, we were greeted by the news that Prabhupada had left. And so many people, some of our devotee families who were close to us had their relatives passed away during this time, either with COVID or for other reasons. So there are a lot of people in our community who are mourning at the moment. And that feeling of complete devastation spread right across the whole temple. We couldn't imagine, at least I couldn't imagine, the fact that the person who inspired us and who was the reason we'd given up our lives basically had left. So I expect that's the same feeling the devotees in our community who are experiencing grief at the moment of healing. And the only thing we could do was to take up Srila Prabhupada's legs, honour that. So we're in shock for quite a while, but took refuge in the reference of Srila Prabhupada's instructions and his service as we had done when he was away while he was still on the planet. So I just wanted to express that, as Anuruddha has said, we're all following in his footsteps, in Bhismadeva's footsteps as Krishna. We will have to face death one day. And as Prabhupada said in class this morning, the only real credit we can have at the end of life is that we've attempted at least to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So really I did a lot to note. I'm always inspired by hearing memories of devotees because we interact with each other. It's always inspiring to hear those memories and take us closer to Srila Prabhupada. So one of the main ones I'd like to raise is whenever Srila Prabhupada preached from the ISKCON Temple, his main message to us was, you are not the body, you're a spirit soul, you're a servant of Krishna. At that time, I was 21, 22. At that time, the only real realization I had of Srila Prabhupada's message was that I was not that body. And I left my former life to become a brahmachari. My ex-boyfriend came to Srila Prabhupada's classes. So the whole class was on that message of you're not that body, you're a servant of Krishna. My dear boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, he got up at the end of the class and he hadn't really heard a word of Srila Prabhupada's message. He took Srila Prabhupada a whole series of challenging questions based on the fact that I'm not body. Srila Prabhupada eventually, he answered him very patiently. Eventually he said, just chant Hare Krishna, everyone. And he left us all to chant Kirtan and left. Srila Prabhupada was very sweet. As I said, I was probably 21. I was a kid from the country. My parents had to drive me up to Melbourne to attend the Prabhupada had come to Rath-Yatra, and I missed the parade, but I got to the temple in Burnett Street, St Kilda. Remind Maharaj was being initiated at. So for me as a young country girl, the only strategy I had was to wait on the stairs at the terrace house. You can imagine in St Kilda with a passageway and rooms off to the side, and then stairs up to the first where the ashrams were at that stage. And when Srila Prabhupada, the temple room was totally packed, everywhere was totally packed. And, so I sat on the stairs, bottom of this planning, oh, he has to come out. Maybe I can get his attention. He comes out. Sure enough, I finished the program. And he was going to the place where he was staying, perhaps Ushara's flat. And so basically I bailed, and he got near to me. I just stood up in front of him with my hands folded and tried to ask him. I actually wanted to know if he was like Jesus, if you could save him from real birth and death. But it was too loud, unless I shouted, I couldn't have asked him. He prompted me to ask, but I was too shy. But what I want to get to after this remark was Srila Prabhupada cared, even someone who was causing me trouble, like me. And he was totally open to my question. So that moment, and I'm sure I've said this to you before, and repeat the story over and over again, that moment was the local it was heaven for a second that changed my life. And that samskara, that impression that he made, my consciousness has stayed with me over the 45, whatever years since.
Rasa, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you were on the bus, Prabhupada had passed away?
Yeah.
And you weren't told?
Well, what I guess is that Balaram was told that the time was near.
Ah, okay.
I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
And by the time we got back, that was the time when Srila Prabhupada had left.
Okay, Bhakta, would you like to speak? Wait a minute.
People are complaining on
On YouTube?
YouTube.
I'm not sure. Okay, we'll because Rasanandini's connection, she's down a farm, I think. Not particularly good. Let's see how we go with Bhakta. I'll turn the mic on. Okay, fire away, Bhakta.
See Bhakta on Teams.
No, just there's a difficulty getting the sound on YouTube, but there's nothing we can do about it. This is maybe a challenge. But let's see. Just go, Bhakta, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Aniruddha. Dear Srila Prabhupada, on this your disappearance day, Srila Prabhupada, please allow me to again pledge my allegiance to your preaching mission, ISKCON, and renew my commitment to serving you and your disciples to the best of my abilities. Please again forgive my offences.
There's 4 speakers.
I will strive to do better this coming year and onward. I pray that by your mercy, I may have a pinch of your preaching ability, strength and confidence to push on your movement, because I know that without your mercy and presence in my life, I will be just another soul scrambling for existence, lifetime after lifetime. Every year I thank you for the great Krishna conscious teachers and mentors I have in my life that constantly direct me to your lotus feet for shelter, inspiration, and your continual presence in my life. I thank you for the wonderful Krishna conscious services that you've given me over the years and the new and refreshing ones that lay ahead of me. Thank you for the transcendental adventure that Krishna consciousness is in my life. All glories, always to you, Srila Prabhupada, your undeserving servant, Bhaktidas. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Bhakta.
Joy.
Okay. Rasa, you have to go on mute. Okay, let's have a look here. Pranaji, you're next.
Aniruddha, you're muted.
Oh, okay, radio, sorry. Pranaji, you're next.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvisesha. Last night we had the opportunity to hear from Hare Prabhu. He was being interviewed the GBC CPT series on remembering Srila Prabhupada. And Hare Prabhu, as many of you know, he was GBC here in Australia for 7-8 years. And he joined here in Australia and he became Srila Prabhupada's secretary for almost 2 years. He travelled with Srila Prabhupada and he kept a diary of every day and every moment with Srila Prabhupada. And he's sharing some of those intimate exchanges with Srila Prabhupada last night in the interview with Gopal Bhattaprabhu. And one of the interesting things that he focused on, or the main thing he focused on in this interview, was prasadam. And the importance, the series is entitled Srila Prabhupada as the preeminent Shiksha Guru in ISKCON. And the question is, what is some of the most essential or foundational teachings that Srila Prabhupada has given us that we need to maintain in ISKCON in order to maintain the authenticity of what Srila Prabhupada has given us. And so Hare Prabhu focused on prasadam, and it was a really interesting and entertaining presentation as usual, with lots of really detailed facts and information about Srila Prabhupada and prasadam. But it got me thinking about Melbourne Temple and Srila Prabhupada, and what a significant influence Srila Prabhupada has had on our lives and all the devotees in the Melbourne Temple, in the Melbourne community in the 70s and today in 2020, that Prabhupada's presence is very strongly felt in our community, and it's because we have maintained over the years that commitment to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and particularly around prasadam. Melbourne Temple, the Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir is famous for prasadam distribution, and for prasadam presence. And Hare was saying that Prabhupada said that every single time we exchange with somebody, there should be prasadam. When anyone comes to the temple, we have to be conscious that they leave with prasadam. And Hare mentioned many examples of that in India and in UK and in different places he was with Prabhupada, how Prabhupada always gave prasadam. And he said actually he started the movement with prasadam. He cooked for the devotees in 26 2nd Avenue. He served the devotees prasadam. And only after some months of doing this, Prabhupada introduced regulations and philosophy and things. But first, it was prasadam. And so I think it's really significant that we have Melbourne Temple is such a successful community temple based on our prasadam, commitment to prasadam and prasadam distribution. And not only that, we've expanded on Srila Prabhupada's contribution in many ways in deity worship and particularly in philosophy, in teaching Bhakti Shastri and formalizing education in ISKCON in many areas. And I think that's something that we can all be kind of proud of, that we're part of this very solid commitment to Srila Prabhupada as a preeminent Shiksha Guru in ISKCON. And we continue to maintain his legacy by supporting, and as Aniruddha has been saying, cooperating with the preaching mission. And that was a great example of the Karam Downs Temple, that everybody gets this great idea to go and distribute Bhagavad Gitas on the Ekadasi in December. And it seems like it's a great devotional activity to do. It's book distribution and it's purifying, it's pleasing to Srila Prabhupada.
And I get a big book score.
It might also cause a disturbance to other communities, and so we have to be thoughtful about what we're doing. And I think if we all commit to this cooperation and this kind of more of an organized approach to our preaching, we'll all derive the benefit and the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara, and we'll advance individually, and we'll be able to bring many people to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet in the temple, and they can continue to progress and to take advantage of everything that Srila Prabhupada has set up for us here in Melbourne and here ISKCON globally. That was something I wanted to share with you today, and I recommend that everybody take a look at that interview with Gopabhata Prabhu and Hare Prabhu, and there are many other ones that are coming available today. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thanks, Pranaji.
Joy.
Is Bhakti, I saw Bhakti in the background there. Does she want to say something?
You're muted, Aniruddha.
Oh, okay, sorry. Bhakti, I saw Bhakti in the background there. Does she want to say something?
Just really, you want? Just really appreciate God. Just taking me out of just ignorance. I mean, I knew that even as a young girl, I was praying to God, although I didn't know who He was. I knew there was a God there, and I was praying things like, please don't ever let me come in contact with intoxication. I don't want to be, come in contact with drugs, marijuana or whatever else they're doing nowadays. I didn't want to come in contact with that, so I knew that God answered my prayer, because I've never, even to this day, come in contact with drugs. And the only time, way before I became a devotee, I think I became tipsy once, and I really didn't like that feeling of not being in control. And when I joined Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada made it so clear, to follow the 4 regulative principles, and it's just such a blessing to be part of the society. Even though, over the last 6 months we've been in lockdown with COVID-19, Prabhupada has given us still so many opportunities to serve, even in separation from the temple and from the deities and from the devotees. Somehow or other, Krishna has blessed me being able to sow. He's given me, many different, capabilities somehow or other, that I can sow or create things. And by Prabhupada's mercy, I've been able to dovetail that in Krishna service. So even during this lockdown, I've been, sowing for devotees, deities, Amagara Sundaras, Prabhu's new marble Gwanikai deities, and now Chatrat Prabhu. I'm just absolutely flat out at the moment. He's given me 2 weeks to get the whole thing together. He's installing welcoming deities into his home next Thursday. So it's been absolutely flat out just doing that. And I'm just really, really grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us that opportunity to serve Krishna in so many different ways. And it's just amazing. This society is just amazing what Srila Prabhupada has set up. So I just want to thank Srila Prabhupada again on this day, and just keep him foremost in my consciousness, even more so today. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Bhaktivedanta.
Jai.
We're just having a bit of a chuckle here because our Pujari wore his hat into the deity room. It's pretty hot outside. He's got his mask on, but he forgot to take it. Sorry, we're just having a bit of a chuckle because Jit's got his hat on in the deity room. He put his mask on, but he forgot to take his hat off. Hare Krishna. All right, okay. Over to Sukadev. Can you, devotees, put your hands up who've got offerings on Teams, please, so I can work out who I should invite next. Okay, yeah, got your number. No thanks. Keep your hand up too. That'd be helpful.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept our humble obeisances, all glories to yourself. Although you are no longer physically with us on the spiritual platform, you are very much present through the medium of your books and instructions. It is our great fortune to witness the extent of your mercy in saving the entangled souls all around the globe. No words is enough to describe your compassion and grace you bestowed upon us in creating this shelter of Krishna consciousness movement, ISKCON. This is the quote from Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. It says, He reasons ill who says that Vaishnava die. When you art living still in sound, the Vaishnava die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. I was just also meditating in a similar note as Anirupa mentioned, and it just mesmerizes me the achievement Srila Prabhupada achieved during his last stage, 12 years of his preaching mission. And I thought of just sharing some of those achievements that even you look at it materially, it's just extraordinary. Of course, spiritually, it's great. So I just wanted to read some of those achievements that Srila Prabhupada had achieved from 1965 to 1977 when he left. In 1965, at 70 years of age, he ventured outside of India and first time to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. During his voyage at sea, he suffered 2 severe heart attacks. He reached the shore of America with the equivalent of $7 in his hand, in his name. After a year of a struggle along in New York City, he founded an ISKCON with a small group of disciples. He marked a only time in history that a Krishna devotee successfully trained non-Indian in the strict of discipline of Vaishnavism. He formally initiated approximately 5,000 disciples. These represent the sweeping diversity of nationality, races, ethnicity, and religious background. He wrote approximately 70 books on the science of Krishna consciousness, sleeping only a few hours per day. He completed the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita manuscript. Sorry, what was that?
What's that, Prana? Whoops, he won't hear me. What did he say?
He mentioned something. He completed the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita manuscript, 17 volumes in 18 months. He ordered and supervised the BBT in publishing of 17 volumes of books is only in 2 months' time in 1974. He founded a Bhaktivedanta Trust in 1972. To produce his books by 1976, over 55 million literatures had been published in 25 languages and distributed almost every country, making the BBT the world's largest publisher in Indian religion and philosophical text. He published a monthly magazine, Back to Godhead, which is called Backbone of ISKCON movement. At the height of his circulation, mid-70s, over 1 million copies per issue were sold. He established 108 temples in 6 continents. He inaugurated Rath Yatra festival to Lord Jagannath in major cities around the globe, in effect, bringing the temple to the people. He counseled his disciples in complex managerial, philosophical, personal issues in more than 6,000 archived letters. He skillfully managed his international societies simply through the letters and personal meetings, virtually without use of telephone. He spoke daily on the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, delivering thousands of formal lectures. Over 2,200 were recorded and archived. He conducted many hundreds of informal conversations on the science of Krishna consciousness with his disciples, guests, and friends. Over 1,300 were recorded and archived. He was a subject of more than 30,000 archival photos and more than 70 hours of documentary film footage. This is the 1970s we're talking in, not our era. So 30,000 photos of Srila Prabhupada. He initiated a brahmacharini ashram, something previously unheard of in the Vedic culture, to give shelter to a single woman wishing to practice Krishna consciousness. He introduced Sunday feast program. He created a world's first chain of vegetarian restaurants. He sent his disciple to London where they recorded a single Hare Krishna mantra with George Harrison in 1969. It became the fastest selling of the all Apple Corporation, released and made top 10 in Germany, Japan, Australia, South Africa, Yugoslavia, and many other countries. He recorded more than 20 albums in devotions music. He established primary schools. He founded a Bhaktivedanta Institute to advance Krishna consciousness within the scientific community. He set up a farm community to teach a simple living and high thinking. He commissioned his artistic disciples to produce hundreds of illustrations of Krishna consciousness, Krishna's pastimes. He encircled the globe 14 times, visiting 24 countries, preaching and inspiring the following, making countless public appearances before multiple people. So those were some of the achievements Srila Prabhupada achieved. Of course, there was many. So just sort of mentioning. This is some of the prediction now. The of Srila Prabhupada's coming to this world. This is on the quotes from this Chaitanya Mangala. If some sinful people escape and giving up religious principle to go far off the countries, then my Senapati Bhakta will come at the end, at that time, to give Krishna consciousness. This is from the Chaitanya Mangala by Lochan Das Thakur. So I just want to conclude with this. Srila Prabhupada, you did all these things in just 12 years and fulfilled so many predictions of Shastras, great devotees, Acharyas and astrologers, the Supreme Personality Godhead Himself. By your effort, uncountable millions have read about Krishna, honored Krishna Prasadam, and heard and chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Let us recognize and remember your unprecedented contribution throughout the world. Please keep us always in your shelter. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay. So, where am I? Here we are. Cool. Okay, Anandavardhana, you've got your hand up. Over to you. You're muted. Anandavardhana. There you go.
Yes, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. So better repeat. Put yourself on repeat, at least for that last minute.
Yes, bro. Good to go.
You're ready to go.
Yeah. Srila Prabhupada, today is we are celebrating as a Disappearance Day, but actually it's, at least I realize it's still Appearance Day, because you are manifesting yourself again in our hearts, in my heart, especially on today. And Srila Prabhupada, thank you very much for giving me and giving us the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Today, this morning, I was listening your Bhagavad Gita lecture, chapter 7, verse 1. And there also you mentioned that the best thing is Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is. And that is Krishna consciousness. So, thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada. And another wonderful mercy you have showered upon me, is the Krishna book. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is so simple, yet very sublime. It has all the core philosophy, and the whole Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is condensed in this one simple book. And at night, when we read this wonderful book you have presented to us, is like amazing experience. And if someone reads it, one page, then sure that he will become Krishna conscious in this life. And that is thanks to you, Srila Prabhupada. And your father wanted you to become like this, like there was this mridanga playing in the studio, and you mentioned that your father, he never wanted you to become like a barrister or some worldly man. Rather, you mentioned that your father wanted you to become like this, expert in Krishna consciousness. And now we see throughout the whole pages, you have given us that you want us to become like you, a pure devotee of Krishna. So kindly please pray to your Krishna Balaram, your Radha Vallabh, that we become one of your true followers and pure devotee of Krishna. Then recently, past 1.5 years or so, we have a blessing of reading your Srila Prabhupada, your Leelamrit, the nectar memories or your association. And day by day, week by week, we are reading through and the different pages, and we are getting so much nectar. We are becoming more and more Krishna conscious, and this is happening in the association of your followers. It started with 2, and then it became 5, then now it's about 27 in a group, as well as online. There are about 1,600 listenings already. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Your memories is also very dear, special. And you say purity is force, and for us in ISKCON, that purity is you. As long as I remain stuck at your lotus feet, following your teachings as it is, then I am saved. All glories to you, Srila Gurudev. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada, your divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you. All glories to your followers, and all glories to your remnants, whether it's in the form of temples, whether it's in form of the books, whether it's in the form of audio, whether it's in form of memories which your followers, your disciples are presenting, or whether it's in form of anything related to you. All glories to that. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anybody else who wants to make an offering online? Okay. Gopa Vrindesh. Have you got a Teams instance running?
You want to run on the Teams? I can give mine.
Yeah, run it on. I'll switch off my mic here, and that way it'll be clearer speaking directly into a handheld device.
Yeah.
So you need to hold that and the mic.
Yeah, sure.
We can't hear anything on your
Marcos, he's,
Yeah, video on, yes.
Gopa's going to use Teams on a handheld device so he can speak directly into the
Video, yeah. Yeah, for the
and be
video.
picked up clearly on Teams.
Yeah. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnana-janashalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-preshthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyate Shatarine. Hare Krishna. Two thoughts primarily came to my mind. First one was, when did I first hear about Srila Prabhupada in my life? So suddenly I went back to my childhood. So probably I heard about you for the first time maybe 30 years back or so. I remember my dad telling me about Srila Prabhupada as a saintly person who went to America to preach at the age of 70. And he made a point that when somebody is ready to retire and sit at home or go to a temple or whatsoever, this Swamiji has gone to the West to start a preaching mission. That was the first time I heard. It was more than 30 years back. And I was really wondered what's really going on. And now I was thinking, so long time has passed, and I have also gone a long way, because now I am in your temple, I am living in your property, I am doing your service, I am trying to follow your instructions. So I can clearly say that the first time when I heard about Srila Prabhupada, and now things have changed in my life, and it is only by your mercy. I have the association of the devotees, I have service, everything only by your mercy. And I always feel gratitude for this. Second, this year, that too quite recently, we were studying the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and today morning also, Prabhupada was mentioning about the departure of Srila Prabhupada. When I was reading and studying and going through the purports of 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, when I was in about 12th and 13th chapter, I was very much taken aback. I was surprised to see the length of the purports. Why is it so? Because Prabhupada is already on his deathbed, and we have all watched that video, the final lesson. It is quite painful to watch that video. At the same time, it is the final lesson. Srila Prabhupada is teaching all of us how to leave this world. So he's teaching us how to live in this world in Krishna consciousness, and also how to leave from this world in Krishna consciousness. So as I was reading through those purports, I understood that what is like to be, or wondered what is it to be a pure devotee, and what is this consciousness of Srila Prabhupada, where highly philosophical concepts, complex concepts are presented when Srila Prabhupada is in his final days in this world. There is quite elaborate description about Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Prabhupada, in his usual mood, he is comparing Brahma's mistake to that of material scientists. Prabhupada mentions that Lord Brahma wanted to show that he was more intelligent than Krishna himself. In the same way, the scientists wants to show that they are more intelligent than Krishna. And he mentions that Brahma got bewildered. Similarly, whoever tries to outsmart Krishna, they will be befooled. In that way, Prabhupada was constantly preaching even to the last minute. And we can see that purports which are very wonderful. And as I was reading very recently, I was amazed to see, to experience the consciousness of such an exalted devotee. Now I am staying in the association of the devotees, I'm trying to do some service in the association of the devotees. So my prayer is that kindly allow me to serve you in the best capacity. Because just like in the spiritual world, there is Swarup for all living entities. We have heard from you, we have read. And everyone has their own unique service to Krishna. Similarly, we have a certain kind of human body, certain kind of psychophysical nature, our abilities and disabilities, skills and shortcomings, but whatever it may be, with whatever capacity I have, kindly allow me to serve your mission, allow me to serve your lotus feet. That's my prayer. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Okay, who's next? Rasa? Stand up and smile for the camera.
Mo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namre Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachanya Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashyata Desitarini. So when Pranab Prabhu was speaking, it was I felt very happy. I don't know why, but probably the fact that we are doing great prasadam distribution, and also when Anil Prabhu was speaking, he was explaining about how we should be an exemplary preaching community. So when we started this Food for Life, this was my take that Srila Prabhupada wanted everyone to go have prasadam. No one should go hungry. So this was there, and also I wanted to show, okay, fine, we have to help these people. And obviously, when we have that desire, okay, this mission, I was going through the mission statement of Food for Life, and I was going through the Food for Life kitchen booklet, and time and again there was quotes by Srila Prabhupada how prasadam distribution is very important. And so when I thought, okay, fine, let us do this wholeheartedly. Initially I was not putting myself fully, but then when I wanted to fully give myself, okay, let's do this in full force, then wonders started to manifest. We got good reception from the local council, local government. Even today I've got a message from the council that we got Port Melbourne, South Melbourne, all these Coles, Woolworths, would you like to pick up veggies and fruits for 7 days from the stores? And so I felt, this is mercy of Srila Prabhupada. There is so much we can do, and so much resources are available in order to use in the service of Krishna. And every time I feel, that something lacking, or I'm not, able to do, then some magic happen. Actually, something comes up. Okay, we see an opportunity to serve Krishna. So, and today morning also I was especially reading Bhagavad Gita 4:34, that Tadvini Pranipratena, the verse. So in that there is one statement which Prabhupada mentioned, that when a self-realized person is satisfied, that is the secret of success in your spiritual life. When you can please a self-realized soul, then your spiritual life is success. So that is his Prabhupada's, even Prabhupada's life is the same. He whole life dedicated in pleasing the words of his Guru, and that's how he showed to us that by pleasing the spiritual master, pleasing the pure devotees, life is successful. So my prayer that today, and that please keep me under your shelter. Please give your mercy. The day your mercy is not there, then that's the day, actually living the spiritual life. So I pray to you, without your mercy, without your causeless mercy, is nothing possible. And please continue to shower your mercy so that we can, especially I can be an instrument in the service of your mission, in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in the service of Melbourne community. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Param.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutle Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarni. Thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada, whatever you have done for all of us. When I started my spiritual journey in 2013, and I've been asked by devotees to read your books, and coming from a North Indian background where we don't have a habit to read books there, so I was finding very, very difficulty what I'm going to understand, because the English is not so good, and there's a shortcoming not having a habit to read anything. But anyway, I tried my best to read your books, and there is one fortunate incident happens in my dream that after reading for a couple of months, and I saw you in my dream that you were chanting with many devotees on the intersection somewhere my native town is. And I stopped there for 2 or 3 minutes because I was coming from college, and I saw, okay, what's happening here? And I looked around, I looked at you, and I looked at the devotees around there, and I started walking back to my home. And suddenly I saw someone hold my hand, and he said, "Don't go, please stay here with us." So that dream made a very deep impression in my heart, that this old man, whom I really don't know who is he, but in a very deep compassion, he's looking at me and he's asking me, please stay with us and practice what we are doing. So Srila Prabhupada, thank you so much for coming into my dreams and instructing me in such a way that I'm really in debt to you, that trying to follow your instruction, what you have given in Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and I'm trying my level best to come to that level where I can learn something, apply in my life, and I can give the same thing to the whole world. On this auspicious day, I really bow down to your lotus feet and beg for all the forgiveness that I'm committing to not following your instructions on the full extent, but trying my best. And in the future or now, I can give the same knowledge to the whole world. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for everything.
Who's first? Nrikeshari or Xavier? Bhagavan.
Senior devotees first.
Huh?
Senior devotees first.
Who got initiated first? Out of those two? They got initiated at the same time? Ah, okay, right, good. You should observe the etiquette, proper etiquette. 5 minutes. Yeah, and
Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesa Sunyadi Pashyate Deshatarine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, we can't hear.
Yeah. Yes. When I first come in to the Devotees Association, in the first book which they recommended to me to read is Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. And that's the first book. Since my childhood, not even my school books, read page from first to the end. So and that's the first time I got in contact with any spiritual knowledge or any philosophy. But after reading that book, I don't know, maybe it took me 1 year to complete Leelamrita.
How old were you?
I was 27 that time.
Oh, okay.
So far, before that, I was always thinking, what actually where I am good at, or what can I do, or maybe I was always incomplete. But when I read Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, I felt so much relief that I cannot explain it properly. But you gave me everything, I can say. Thank you very much, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Praya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate. My dear Srila Prabhupada, I remember, I think that without you, I would be nowhere in my life. Everything that I have now is all because of you. And I still remember the first time I officially met Srila Prabhupada was actually when my friend recommended me to read Bhagavad Gita. I came to the temple before, I saw the deity here, and I met some devotees, but I never formally got introduced to Srila Prabhupada. And then suddenly I found myself reading Bhagavad Gita, and I remember as I was passing the introduction and in the first chapter, I could understand this book is very different to anything that I read before. And I remember from that point my life changed so much, because before that I was just a seeker. I wanted to know about who I am, what is this life all about, who is God, how does karma work, how does reincarnation work. But then I remember reading Bhagavad Gita, everything started becoming so clear. Like I can understand why I'm in this body, who is God, what is our relationship. And also I could understand who the devotees are. And so after reading that, soon I made friends with the devotees and I joined. And now I live in a temple, and I can say literally everything that I have left is all because of you. So please keep engaging me in your service. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Priti? Priya. Priya's never short of something to say. Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
Another couple of minutes.
I just wanted to thank Srila Prabhupada for everything, for giving us a life, and especially for the ashram devotees. We were like the very lucky few that were handpicked or somehow selected to spend this lockdown in this temple. And I just feel very amazing about that. I try every moment not to waste I try not to spend every single moment in Krishna consciousness in this lockdown, and I just feel scared sometimes that after this lockdown we don't know how the outside world's going to be, because, or how far Kali Yuga has progressed, because we're just so absorbed in this world of Krishna consciousness here. So, yeah, I'm just very grateful for that. And I just quickly wanted to say how, reading about Prabhupada in the early days, how he was trying to publish the Back to Godhead. He was literally writing it, proofreading it, printing it, trying to sell it on top of everything, and getting insulted, criticized, all kinds of things, and he still kept going, you know. And when I read that, it just blew my mind, because I thought, it reminded me of his spiritual master, how Bhaktivedanta Thakur says that a dead man cannot be a preacher. And I thought, when I read about Prabhupada, well, this is opposite of being a dead man, you know, because he's a total preacher. And I thought, well, I'm a dead man, because reading this, I just feel like, where am I? You know, made me reflect on myself. And quickly, just a couple of things is, two special things about Krishna consciousness and our temple is, one thing is I have to appreciate from Prabhupada's movement how what I personally appreciate is when white body devotees take to understanding the philosophy of Krishna consciousness really well, and also leading kirtan and doing Krishna consciousness really, really well. I really appreciate that, because that is a testament to Rupa Goswami's statement that Krishna consciousness is not limited only to India or a particular race or a particular sect. It is for everyone. So when I see that glory goes to Rupa Goswami and then to Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur and our Prabhupada for implementing that. And I also really like how Srila Prabhupada says that our Radharani in our temple is very much like the Radharani in Vrindavan. Yeah. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're going to have to finish this Teams broadcast, because we've got guests coming for the midday aarti, and we're only allowed 20 people in the temple, so we're going to have to finish now. Thanks for everybody for participating. We've had a couple of dozen participants online, so thanks everybody for participating. Thanks for those who have given an offering. Thanks for Brajaraj for broadcasting on YouTube, and yeah, we'll continue broadcasting on YouTube. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. We'll do Pushpanjali now. Salakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Sva Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunath Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishaka Amvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhurayujvala Premadya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida Sri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murtaye Denatarine Rupanuga Virudha Apasiddhanta Dhvanta Harine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchit Anandanamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumeshtvam Nirdeshta Sajana Priyaha Vaishnava Savabhoma Sri Jagannataya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Mandamate Gati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Brindaranya Kalpa Drumadha Śrīmad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Śrīmad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshtalibhi Sevyamano Smarami Śrīman Rasarasarambhi Vamsivata Tatasthitaha Karshan Venus Vanair Gopir Gopinata Shriye Astu Naha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Isha Pushpanjali Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya. We're starting to get too many people here. Please count up the numbers, no more than 20 in the room. So those who came in last, yes, but keep track of the numbers. Yeah. Well, and whoa. So I'm not going to go until we've only got 20 in the room. Sorry, but I've got to make sure that we follow the rules. That's my job. So, who just came in the last 5 minutes? Please go out for this. Yeah. No, yeah. Well, don't come in the first place, to be quite frank with you. Yeah, come on. There we go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who came in later? Okay, offer your flowers. And
yeah, okay.
So offer a flower and we'll finish. Let's keep it. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Sangsarada Pranaya Karunya Aganaganatam Shangsharadava Nalalida Loka Pranaya Karunya Aganaganatam Nalida Loka Pranaya Karunya Aganaganatam Praptasya Kalyana Gunavasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Mahaprabhu ke Tananita Gita Vaditramadyan Manashorasena Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Sri Vigrahara Dhananityanamnam Shringaratanman Diramajanado
Ananityanam Sringaratanman Diramajanado Yuktasya Vakshan Tananung Datopi Bande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Chaturveda Sri Bhagavat Prasado Sadvana Tirtan Hari Bhakta Sanyam Bhagavat Prasado Sadvana Tirtan Hari Bhakta Sanyam Krita eva triptin Bhajato sadaiva Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Vande Guru Sri Sri Radhikama Davayoraparo Madhu Jalila Gunarupanamnam Kama Davayoraparo Madhu Jalila Gunarupanamnam Pratikshanasva Dhanalolopasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Nikunjayono Ratikele Siddhai Jajali Virikti Irapekshaniya Jajali Virikti Irapekshaniya Tatradidata Dativalavasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Shakshadaritena Shamastra Shastre Yuktasya Tavan Yataeva Sadvi Kintu Prabhoya Pirayeva Tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Jasya Prasadad Bhagavat Prasado Jasya Prasadan Nagati Katopi Bhagavat Prasado Jasya Prasadan Nagati Katopi Jayam Subham Tasya Jaya Sasri Sanyan Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarabindam Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Prabhupada, Vishnupada, Krishna Prasthaya Utale, Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskyata Deshatarine. Prabhupada Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskyata Desha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Tiruvaptiti Maho Mahotsava, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitila Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa, ISKCON, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जाए वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जाए मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जाए भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जाए गंगा माई जमुना माई की जाए हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जाए संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जाए हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जाए Srila Prabhupada ki jai, founder of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Save the whole world, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Founder of the BBT, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladala dadayine. Praladala dadayine. Hiranyakashipur vakshaha. Hiranyakashipur vakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha. Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha. Ito Narasimha. Yato yato yami tato Narasimha. Yato yato yami. Yato yato yami tato Narasimha. Bahe Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha. Bahe Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha. Narasimha Madim Saranam Prapade. Narasimha Madim Saranam Prapade. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Tavakara Kamalavare Naka Adbhuta Sringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa
तब कर कमला भरे नाखम अद्भुत श्रृंगम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगम केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तब कर कमल बारे नाखा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. भक्ति विघ्न विनाशाय नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की जय His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada की जय Srila Prabhupada तिरुभाव महामहोत्सव की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे
Shaasti Guru